What's going on, everybody? This is Destiny Center back with another guide. This is actually talking about some of the best PvE loadouts in the game, starting from base entry level new light players, so to speak, up to more experienced intermediate loadout, and obviously a more extreme, no holds barred top end game loadout for raids and that sort of thing. All three loadouts that I'd like to discuss today will be able to effectively do those tasks, such as raids, but obviously the final one is the pinnacle loadout that you really want to be shooting for in endgame activities. So to start off with, I'm going to be discussing a blast furnace, Ikelos shotgun, Whisper of the Worm loadout. These three weapons are really effective at their specific roles. This one is catered more towards new players that are looking at something that can be, it's not too difficult to grind for. There are very specific objectives to obtain a lot of these weapons, or there's at least a consistent farmable method for them. With the Blast Furnace, it's obtained from doing the Black Armory weapon forges. So once again, it's very consistent. If you forge the weapon, you're gonna get it. It may not be the best roll, so what I would recommend is looking for something like a Rampage, an Outlaw combination. That will always be a good combination of weapons, especially on something that's an ad clear weapon. You'll have good range to deal with ads at a variety of ranges. The Blast Furnace has a really good scope, so it's a really good alternative and choice as an ad clearing weapon. You could switch this out for a really good solid 140 or 150 hand cannon, maybe like the Austringer from the Menagerie. That would also be quite effective. But this is just something that's very easy to farm and gives you some good range flexibility as a primary weapon. The Ikelos shotgun is the next selection. It is not the powerhouse king that it once was, but it is still a really good weapon, and it gives you really good flexibility when you're in a tight spot dealing with, maybe two majors that are jumping at you like two minotaurs. It'll shut them down, give you room to breathe. You can go back to dealing with ads at a distance that you want to be engaged in. And the final weapon on this list is the Whisper of the Worm. It is not what it once was, once again, but it has a very specific way of farming it. So you just complete a exotic quest line. It's the secret quest for the Whisper of the Worm, and you receive the weapon. It's auto reloads your bullets after if you hit 3 precision hits in a row. So with the changes to auto reloading, it is actually probably one of the better weapons in the game, and it's not too difficult to obtain. So for new players, this is 100% my suggestion for what you should get as a power weapon that will do effective damage in pretty much any boss encounter that you can do. A secondary alternative loadout for entry-level players consists of Outbreak Perfected, the Ikelos shotgun, and the Wendigo grenade launcher. The Outbreak Perfected can be obtained by doing the secret exotic mission known as 0 Hour. It is a pulse rifle that deals more damage on enemies the more nanites that are attached to them. It's super stable, it's super consistent. If you really want one of the very best primary weapons in the game that'll take care of you at pretty much any range in almost any encounter, the Outbreak Perfected is definitely the way to go. In a game that is not dominated by by primary weapons, this one certainly hangs. The Ikelos shotgun can be obtained from doing Escalation Protocol and completing all 7 waves on a specific week. You get a chance at receiving it as a drop from the level 7 boss. It's the more times that you run that encounter, it builds in drop protection in Escalation Protocol. So if you fail for 10 shots in a row, your chances of receiving a weapon, and hopefully you're doing it on the week where there's only the shotgun available, the better the chances are that you'll receive the weapon. It's, once again, as mentioned in the previous section of the video, a very flexible weapon to use. And the final weapon that I'll be discussing will be the Wendigo grenade launcher for this loadout. It's actually a really good weapon to grind for, as it will be incorporated in your very top tier weapon loadouts. It's very farmable. So all you have to do is complete a Vanguard Pinnacle quest. It is a little bit lengthy, but there's a very specific way to obtain it. Its strength, so it's the only grenade launcher that has explosive light. So the more orbs of light that you pick up, you'll receive a buff that's called explosive light on them. They'll do additional damage and an increased blast radius. So it's actually pretty effective for ad clear as well, whereas a lot of the spike grenade launchers in the game are not. The next big perk, and the reason it is incorporated into top tier loadouts, is that it has auto-loading holster built in. So you can switch to Wendigo, shoot your 6 shots of ammunition, put it in your back pocket, switch to a sniper rifle as an example, continue to do damage. It will automatically reload your weapon and you can switch back to it and once again use it for damage. So there's a lot of uptime with it, it does a lot of damage, and it's also a very flexible weapon. The intermediate loadout that I want to discuss today involves using the Izanagi's Burden, which can be obtained from a fairly lengthy exotic quest line. It's long, but it's well worth doing, as it has some characteristics that are special and currently make it one of the very best weapons in the game. And as your primary weapon, I would suggest using a pulse rifle such as Adhortative. I'm sure I'm going to say that wrong. I would suggest it with Feeding Frenzy and Dragonfly. I don't have that roll. Mine is with Hipfire Grip, which is not very good. Or you could swap it out with something like a hand cannon, like the Kindled Orchid, with Outlaw Rampage. Now, both of these two weapons can be farmed. The Adhorative can be farmed from the Vex Offensive activity. It can come up as a random drop, or you could also purchase a pulse rifle frame, I believe it's called, from Ikora in the tower, and after a certain amount of kills you can receive it and you get it from a drop from the final chests of the Vex Offensive. So not hard to shoot for, and also a very good all-around weapon. And the Kindled Orchid you can farm from doing, once again, the Black Armory Forges. It's got a lot of very interesting perk combinations, so you don't have to go with Outlaw Rampage. You could get something like Surrounded Rampage or the super elusive Kill Clip Rampage, one of the only weapons that can roll those two perks in one. So those are all really good, solid suggestions. And for the final weapon, you're still going to want to rock Wendigo if you haven't received it. If you, for whatever reason, have something against Wendigo, you can always swap it out with a Spike Grenades, Swarm of the Raven, or a Love and Death. Those would all be really good alternatives. I just find that Wendigo is a little bit more flexible overall. The final top tier loadout, with a variation, that we'll be discussing today involves the Izanagi's Burden as your boss damage dealing weapon. The Recluse for taking out ads. Now the Recluse can be obtained from receiving a rank of Fabled, which is 2100 points in the competitive playlist. This season it's Survival 3v3, which if you're a pretty good PvP player, I've actually found it to be a little bit easier to move up the ranks this season, especially because you can just run as a solo player. It is undoubtedly one of the most unbroken, powerful, outrageous weapons in the game. So if you're interested in enjoying its perks and its benefits, I suggest getting it sooner than later, as I can't imagine a weapon this dominant would stick around for forever. And then finally the Wendigo grenade launcher, so that you can pump out 6 shots, swap to your Izanagi's Burden, allow auto-loading holster to do its thing. Once you've put in a few shots with the Izanagi's Burden, you can always switch back to your Wendigo for continued damage. The Wendigo will also be a very effective major clearing weapon or ad clearing weapon. So this loadout really covers all your bases. It's probably the most powerful loadout in the game right now, and something that you definitely want to use if you're doing top tier raids like the Garden of Salvation. Honestly, I can't think of a loadout that would top this in that specific raid, let alone most any raid right now. What makes the Recluse so special is its combination of perks, which are Feeding Frenzy and Master of Arms. Feeding Frenzy grants you a faster reload on any kill. So even if it's not a precision headshot, it doesn't require that. You can just get a body shot kill, and then you have instantly a faster reload. So when you're dealing with ads, that's obviously a glorious thing to have. With Master of Arms, it will increase your damage in a lot of ways, just like Rampage does, but it only takes one kill. You can actually activate it by using a different weapon, and it ups not only your precision damage a little bit, but it also ups your body shot damage to be in PvE nearly equal to doing precision damage. So you don't even necessarily have to aim for critical spots, you can just aim at their center of mass or center of gravity. It's pretty much one of the most powerful perks in the game. And with that, I think we will complete our video. I hope this was helpful to you guys. If you're interested in additional content, please let me know what topics you might want me to discuss. I will be happy to do that. And that's about it. Destiny Center signing off. Thanks, everybody.